Could I request everyone to please settle down and then we can start? Come, sir. At the India Today Karnataka Roundtable, we've had an opportunity so far to listen to the big guns of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the stalwarts of the Congress. But what do residents of the state of Karnataka really want from their politicians and from their government? To talk about this, we're joined by one of the corporate icons of Bengaluru, Capt. Gopinath. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. It's fantastic to have you with us. You've always been known to speak your mind. Could you start by giving us a sense of what issues, according to you, should be uppermost in this election, and issues, especially those which you think aren't getting reflection in the way that they really should?
Yeah,
just pick up the mic.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Rahul. I noticed that in the list of speakers, I'm probably the only non-politician. I think almost 95% are politicians. Maybe it's in the fitness of things, or may not be, I do not know. But I think I represent, I'll speak both on behalf of entrepreneurs, because I think that's what your title that was given to me was to Bengaluru Dreams, and also on behalf of the farmers and dispossessed, which is, I think, is also one of the biggest crises of Bangalore. And since I've also been into farming for a very long time. First, I think I would also like to speak my mind. I won't say I'm going to be apolitical, but I will speak my mind in putting together. I've also written about it very openly. Emerson said, trade is a plant which always grows wherever there is peace, as soon as there is peace, and as long as there is peace. And I think the first and foremost for the country, and I think in particular for Karnataka, because Karnataka has been, in the last few years, repeatedly been having issues. Many of them are emotive, but not essential to development and social harmony. So I think that is the biggest challenge that we have. And the challenge is, how do you have communal harmony and social harmony? Because without peace, no development, no business, whether it's IT or BT or whatever you want to call it, that will prosper. And also, Karnataka is now divided on both caste and religious lines. When I say caste, we have, of course, on the one hand, the Dalits, which is a shame of Hinduism. If we don't accept it, I don't think we can be proud as Hindus. Recently, we found in North Karnataka, a Dalit boy was, I think, whipped and punished because he entered a temple. We also have, very ironically, the three major castes here, or rather two, which are pitted against each other, the Gaudas and the Lingayats. And as we know, the entire election has been revolving around the BJP being more pro-Lingayats, and there's a Lingayat leader, I think somebody referred to it with Amit Shah about Yediyurappa being the Lingayat leader, and then they want to somehow capture the Gauda votes. But I think the three big leaders of, or sages or saints of both the communities, the Basavanna, for example, the greatest of the modern day leaders, he said that Acharave Swarga, Anacharave Naraka. That means your conduct, your dharma that is Swarga. And without that, it is Naraka. So he was the biggest reformer of removing caste. And Kuvempu, considered the Rashtrakavi of the Karnataka poet laureate, he said that Manuja Patha Vishwamanava, And he also said that Basavana's philosophy is much wider than even Marx. We also have Siddaramaiah, who is from the Kuruba caste, because we are always talking about caste today, I think, even the television channels. Kanakadasa is one of their most famous sages. He said, Kula Kula Vendu Hodadadadiri, Nimma Kulada Nelayanadru Balirad. Kula Kula Vendu, you are always fighting on caste. Does anyone of you know what is the origin of your caste? So I think the third, of course, is the Hindu-Muslim divide that is more prominent in Karnataka. So we need to snuff out Islamic fundamentalism, and we also need to be ruthless on Hindu fundamentalism. In fact, in one of my last speeches, somebody said, can a Hindu be a terrorist? He said, a Hindu cannot be a terrorist. I said, if he's a terrorist, he's not a Hindu. So I think there is religious fundamentalism. There's a concept, of course, and normally religious fundamentalism of the majority, because it always raises its head because of the minority appeasement politics. There is a majority and backlash all over the world. You're seeing it, and to that extent, I cannot spare the Congress party and the other parties who are not truly apolitical in that sense, because they're all the time appeasing the Muslims for the vote bank politics. This is appeasing the majority for the vote bank politics. So we had the hijab controversy. We need to have the Muslim parents, they should also allow their girls to be modern, instead of, putting a fatwa on them or ostracizing them. We have all these honor killings. So we have a lot of ills in our society, both amongst the Muslims and the Hindus. So we have to eliminate that. And coming back to this uniform civil code that was asked, I think both the parties are hypocrite. I mean, I say both right now, Congress and BJP. When the uniform civil code was enacted, Congress was against it, which is the biggest injustice to women by being, against the uniform civil code. And BJP said, we have to respect the Supreme Court. But in Kerala, when the Supreme Court gave an order that women should be allowed, menstrual women should be allowed into the Sabarimalai, BJP flagrantly disregarded the Supreme Court order. And Congress, which doesn't know whether to please the Muslims or please the Hindus, it while opposed uniform civil code in Delhi, it supported the Sabarimalai people asking that Supreme Court order be not obeyed. Women should not be allowed. So Congress said women should not be allowed into the temple. So there's a lot of hypocrisy between both the parties. And I think we need the people to rise above our caste and religious differences and measure the politician purely based on his delivery of the objectives. And I think the problem today for Karnataka is that we actually cannot make out, barring the rabid elements in the BJP, which you can see all the time, or in the Congress, you cannot make out what is the true color of the party, because there have been so much of movement between both the parties. People who are in Janata Dal are going to BJP, from BJP they're going to Congress to Janata Dal. So none of us can really make out what is the true color of the party, whether it is saffron or white or green.
I see you're very clearly very passionate about politics, which is fantastic. As concerned citizens
I
should be.
contested 2 elections.
No, sure. But the fact that in the manner in which citizens in Bengaluru speak about politics, that somehow doesn't reflect in actual voter turnout. The apathy of the urban voter has been an oft-discussed subject. Do you think it's going to stay this way? Do you see that change at all?
No, I think that's what I used to tell the people in software, that, you don't have to write your software, you have to script your future. And, when you have, even I think last elections in Bangalore, only less than 50% voted, So in that sense, our people from the classes of the lower economic classes, as well as the Dalits, they are more politically aware than the indifferent, consuming middle class who are all the time in front of the TV and criticizing. They go away on a vacation during the, in fact, even when I contested in Bangalore from the South constituency, only about 48% voted. So it's a big shame. When you have a difficulty of choosing, both the parties are corrupt, which they are, because I think people know it. We can't make out which party is less corrupt now, and you can't make out which candidate you have to vote for. So then you have to vote for the lesser of the evil.
Who looks like the lesser of the evil for you in this election?
No, I think it all depends on. I'm not saying all politicians are corrupt, but there is huge corruption in politics, and there is definitely corruption in Karnataka. I mean, it's, you'll never hear a teachers' association openly coming out and complaining there's corruption. It doesn't happen, because they're scared. Or the contractors' association naming there is corruption. But the reason BJP was voted to power was because Congress was corrupt. It was known. I mean, Janata Dal was corrupt. But there are individually good leaders. I mean, there are 2 corrupt leaders or 2 communal leaders. You cannot be indifferent and sit at home. You have to vote for the one who is less corrupt or less communal.
Who's less corrupt?
I cannot say that, because when Congress was in power, there was no question there was corruption there. And when BJP is there, I do not think that I can give any clean sheet to them, because that's the reason I said you can't make out
who's the lesser evil?
I do not want to take that position. It is because I'm not come to campaign for any individual party. I have my own preferences. But the point I'm making is that people must not be carried away by the rhetoric or the political speeches of the parties. They must measure based on delivery on the ground. Look at Bangalore, for example. I know a friend of mine is not here. I can name him. Jairaj, he comes to, he's a former commissioner of Bangalore Corporation. One day I asked him, what do you make out of this Bangalore? It's like a bombed city. Not just today, over the last, I don't think anybody can say that Bangalore is a city which is beautiful now, because the whole city is dug up, and it has been dug up in the last 35, 40 years. Somebody or the other is the cable guy, it could be Reliance, it could be Airtel, they'll come and dig it up, they don't finish it, because there is corruption, because it's very easy to buy the corporator. So he said, Hale kallu hosa billu. I don't think there is not much of Kannada audience here near this one. Hale kallu is old stones, hosa billu is new bills. So the same stone is put back and the bills are presented, and you can see it. I mean, you don't, like Amit Shah said, you don't have to tell the people, they can make out. You walk through Bangalore, the biggest problem is garbage, the biggest problem is sewage and drainage, drinking water. Vishwesvaraya, built the KRS dam, the first power plant. But today, you don't get drinking water in your tap in any house. If
So
you're
what's
rich,
the solution? You're saying the Congress was corrupt, the BJP is corrupt. You tried to fight an election yourself, didn't succeed. So where then lies redemption? What's the way out?
the way out is that we had to be engaged. We can't give up hope. We have to be optimistic. Cynicism is not the answer. Cynicism is slow suicide. You can't be, criticizing everybody. That is not the answer. Of course, you have to have the courage, but you don't have any businessman having courage to speak up. Whether in Bangalore or in Delhi, you see after the budget, every businessman only praises the finance minister. So we need to have courage to speak to people. Not just journalists have courage. Of course, journalists also have lacking courage now, but we need to have businessmen also to have courage to speak to the ministers in public forums, not just in his personal chamber. We have to speak the truth, but I'm drawing a distinction between speaking the truth and being skeptical and cynical. You can't be, you have to do what you can. All of us, there will be evil, there will be corruption, but you have to do what we can to reduce it. Purandaradasa, which I didn't quote, I quoted too, said 1,000 years ago, Satyavantarige edu kalavalla. This is not the age of honest people. So corruption has always been there. But for every citizen, every individual, we have to do, because there are always good people even in politics and in bureaucrats. Because in my own case, I did not bribe. Once it was a BJP minister, I didn't bribe. Once it was a Congress minister, I didn't bribe. Even in Karnataka, when they say Janata Dal is corrupt, I got my aviation land in Jakur when the Janata chief minister was in power. So we can't become disillusioned. That is not the answer. You have to do what you can.
Does the double engine provide an advantage when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to development, because you've got help coming in additionally from the center?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because if the center, there is an advantage in having states which are different from the center. Just like when Congress was in power, it was good to have people not belonging to Congress in other states, because there are authoritarian tendencies, whether it is in Congress, misusing the institutions. The caged parrot to the CBI came during Congress time. And of course, we all know that institutions, whether in the state level or in the center, are being, because unfortunately that is the thing. Today, for example, when we had some cases in Karnataka, when Gauri Lankesh was murdered, for example, there was another police officer who committed suicide. The biggest tragedy is today, we do not know which institution is going to be free of the political party. If it is, in fact, during the Gauri Lankesh's murder, the state government wanted the CBI to come in. State government wanted to investigate, but the family said no state government, because they thought that the state government will be loyal to the state government. And they thought if the CBI comes, it will be loyal to the central government. So we have, there is erosion of institutional integrity and institutional autonomy. I think these are some of the challenges. Therefore, there is always good to have opposition, a strong opposition, both to the center and the state. So I'm not all for, in all the states, you can't have a double engine, and then there will be only one party.
Are you fearful of a hung assembly? The fact that Karnataka has seen a lot of political uncertainty, volatility over the last several years.
Yeah, because as you know, the BJP, everything has not been hunky-dory. BJP was in power, Yediyurappa was removed, and there is another person was put in. The only consideration was, if you are removing a Lingayat, we have to put another Lingayat. The discussion was not who is the most competent man to be in that job. So there is already, there is a sheen that has gone off BJP because of the way the government got changed. And there's nothing much to speak of between Janata Dal and Congress also, because I think there was a statement that was made that during the last 4 terms, if you vote for Janata, I think Mr. Amit Shah made that, if you vote for Janata, it means you vote for Congress. But in fact, the BJP was, I think, also in bed with Janata Dal. Am I right, Gopal? They had formed a BJP and Janata Dal formed a government together, and then the government fell. So right today, there are 3 parties. The predictions are that nothing may gain majority, but there are a lot of talk that the Congress, after the Bharat Jodo Yatra of Rahul Gandhi, may come back to power, but I'm not very certain because whether you agree with Amit Shah and Modi or not, you can't be a political leader if you are not resolved to win. Like in the army, the army, which is the army that wins? The army that is resolved to win. That means you're ready to die. So you don't find that vigor and rigor in Congress that, you want Rahul Gandhi to say, I'm going to win. And the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a fantastic call to unite the country and bring in communal harmony. But he missed the Gujarat elections. He missed the Himachal election. He should have planned and gone to Gujarat, I mean, how can you be a political leader not with a touch of madness and obsessed to win? Why will a party follow you? And he skipped Gujarat, where they already had a good talent.
I see Captain Gopinath is frustrated with both parties and frustrated immensely, which is.
But I'm not. I'm frustrated like all of us are. But you have to be involved in doing what you can.
How is Karnataka doing from a industry and manufacturing perspective? There are two takes on this. One is if you look at the FDI numbers, Karnataka investment is still very robust. The other is there are a lot of new greenfield projects are actually moving away to other states, including to Telangana, some to Gujarat, others to Tamil Nadu, and that Karnataka is losing out.
Yeah, I think, let me come to that topic. I think, see, the greatest thing about Bangalore is its cosmopolitan, free and enterprise outlook. There's a huge talent pool here, which started, thanks to Nehru actually, because all these institutions were set up during Nehru's time. And after that, successive governments, including the present government, Mr. Modi, though you may criticize him for many things, he pushed digital India, for example. There's massive infrastructure going on at the national highway level. But Bangalore, our successive government, everybody is coming to Bangalore, whether it's Narayan Murthy or myself or Kiran, we are coming to Bangalore because, there is a dream, the dream that you can build a future here. You can see construction labor which is coming here, small entrepreneurs. You go to any nook and corner of Bangalore, the population is uneasy. You have the migrant population. You have a lot of people from Northeast, from Assam, from Bihar. In fact, in my own company, the cooks are from Bihar, the security guards from Assam. In every apartment, in every house, there's a huge, that is a sign of a vibrant economy, that migrants are moving here. The migrants come here because it is a state which is tolerant. And it's a state where in spite of everything, there is bonhomie and there is generosity of spirit, The Kannadigas are not intolerant, violent people, because all our great Vachanakars and all our great sages were of that reformers. But I think what has happened now for Bangalore is that in spite of all that, because the lack of talent in other cities, like Bombay was more, could say, against immigrants. Bangalore, for example, they ruined it for some time when Shiv Sena was in power, though they're now in bed with BJP. And Karnataka has that ecosystem on the intellectual side, on the tolerance side. But I think of late, I think even Kerem Marzumdar wrote about it, there's huge, there is a communal pot that is constantly being stirred. It could be all in this issue. I mean, how far can you go back in the past? If you say, on the one hand, they say all Muslims are Indians, our cousins, right? Our brothers and sisters who are converted. But how far will you go back in history, right? How far will you go back? Because every day we are having some communal violence in this. Then by the same token, can the Dalits now attack the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, because there was an injustice of caste injustice. The worst caste injustice is against the Dalits, untouchability. Can they now go back and take revenge? The class of the Naxals There is a class war. There's not a caste war, which is, can the Naxals now go back and kill all the rich people or the landed people? You can't go back. We have to live forward. And as Nelson Mandela said, that the funny thing is that if you drink poison, you think you're going to kill the enemy. You know, resentment is like drinking poison, thinking it will kill the enemy. So we have to rise above that. So I think Bangalore needs two things. Immediately, communal harmony. We had to get all the communities together, all the castes together. And you can see it, Bangalore is bursting and more people will come. Not only from other parts of Karnataka and the rest of the world, more people are coming here from rest of Karnataka. If you see all the construction labor, they're from North Karnataka because there's a lot of drought there, a lot of poverty there. So more people are going to pour into Bangalore. And the city is bursting at the seams, so infrastructure has collapsed. So it is not just now, work is going on, but it's very slow. It's taken 20 years to build the metro. In every other country, of course, you say don't compare to China. Then you say don't compare to Germany. Why not? We should compare ourselves to China. If you are saying a chest-beating nationalism, we should see what is happening in China. Just yesterday I read that in China, they've already become the largest automobile consumers of the world, beating America. And they've stopped looking for foreign cars. In China now, more electric cars are bought by the Chinese, which are Chinese made. They're no longer looking at Tesla because they're building better cars, and they're also supplying the electrical components to the rest of the world. So we are going to create that kind of ambitions, and that cannot be possible if the Bangalore infrastructure continues to what it is, because I know it's become an oven now. The whole city is dug up. There's a garbage problem. There's a water problem. So it has been done on a war footing. Whichever party comes to power, they have to unite and be the chief minister for all communities and build infrastructure. You know, as they said, America did not build roads, the roads built America. So we need to do it and save Bangalore from choking in its own garbage and filth and debris.
I love your passion and the kind of energy that you're trying to bring as an active citizen in politics and in society. Thank you so much, Captain Gopinath, for joining us and sharing your views on what's wrong with the way our politics is being run and what potentially could be done to try and fix some of that. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Can we have a warm round of applause, please? Thank you.
Thank you everyone for, and thank you Captain Gopinath for that wonderful chat.